I ain't gonna lie.
If you're just joining us here, was just arrested and taken into federal custody in New York tonight. Sources tell TMZ Homeland Security swooped into a Midtown hotel late Monday where Diddy was staying, and they arrested him.
Gandil, Diddy's former bodyguard, has caused a stir in the celebrity world with a stark warning about Diddy's son. Christian CS concerned for Christian's safety. He claims the young man may be in genuine danger. This concern arises from Christian's alleged involvement in leaking footage related to Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, which has intensified the chaos surrounding Diddy's ongoing legal battles. As this scandal edges toward implosion, Christian's actions have pulled him into a maelstrom that could jeopardize not only his father's legacy, but also his own future.
I have information that he was arrested tonight at a Manhattan hotel. He is currently being processed. I heard from his attorney, they are still maintaining his innocence. They said that in anticipation of these charges, that Diddy relocated to New York.
For those who may not be familiar, Cassie Ventura was Diddy's on and off girlfriend for over a decade. Since she came forward with serious allegations against the music mogul, accusing him of years of physical and emotional abuse, the public has been closely monitoring the situation. This began in late 2023, leading to a flurry of lawsuits, settlements, and disturbing revelations that continue to dominate headlines. Cassie's lawsuit, filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, was settled almost immediately after it was announced, but that only fueled the speculation. Now, with new footage emerging that allegedly connects to communications from Christian, the saga has taken yet another dark turn.
Listen, y'all, I understand that these girls are of age, but this is just disgusting to me. It feels very predatory to me. It feels very...
Gandil's warning to Christian is far from idle chatter. Having worked for Diddy during his peak fame, Dil has witnessed things most would find hard to believe. His concern for Christian appears genuine. The young man is treading a perilous path. In a recent interview, Dil emphasized that there are people who do not want the leaked footage to come to light. If Christian is indeed the source, he may have made some powerful enemies. Given Dil's history as Diddy's trusted security detail, his words carry significant weight.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
But what exactly is this footage, and why is it so explosive? According to sources, the video in question shows an unsettling altercation between Diddy and Ventura back in 2016, and in that Cassie detailed in her lawsuit, the footage was captured in the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel, and while it contains no audio, it paints a disturbing picture. In the clip, Cassie has seen walking toward an elevator when Diddy, wearing nothing but a towel, charges down the hall after her. What follows is a physical confrontation that ends with Diddy throwing Cassie to the ground and kicking her before dragging her back toward their room.
Holmes is seen shoving, kicking, and dragging his then-girlfriend down the hallway. And now he's posted an apology.
This footage, which had been hidden for years, resurfaced earlier this year, reigniting the flames of allegations against the once untouchable music mogul.
A U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence.
Now, things take an intriguing turn. There are rumors that Christian Communications may have been involved in leaking this footage to the media. Whether it was intentional or part of a broader scheme is still uncertain, but the mere mention of his name in connection with this scandal raises red flags. Christian has been trying to carve out his own path in the music industry, following in his father's footsteps, but if he's not cautious, this could tarnish his emerging reputation before he even gets a chance to shine.
He will be sued, and I say will be because nothing has been filed yet, by at least 120 people in the next 30 days. So
Diddy's legal troubles have been escalating for months, with new lawsuits and allegations emerging almost daily, ranging from racketeering to violent confrontations. While the charges against him are numerous and diverse, the claims linked to Cassie and other women have proven particularly damaging. Although Cassie's initial lawsuit was settled, it opened the floodgates for others to come forward, each sharing their own unsettling experiences. Some women have alleged threats, coercion, and mistreatment by Diddy and his associates. As these accusations continue to accumulate, it's becoming increasingly challenging for Diddy to uphold the polished public image he once maintained.
As far as Is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
What's truly shocking is that some of the most damaging evidence against Diddy is coming from those closest to him. For instance, Gandil hasn't hesitated to speak out about his former boss. I was there, I saw things that no one else did, Deal said in a recent interview. He emphasized that Diddy's empire was built on more than just music. There was always something darker lurking beneath the surface. Deal's remarks reflect the feelings of many who have worked closely with the music mogul, individuals who have since distanced themselves from the man who once dominated the hip-hop world with an iron fist.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witnesses.
With Christian potentially implicated in leaking damaging footage, Deal's warning takes on a heightened sense of urgency. Christian has largely remained quiet about the allegations surrounding his father, but in this situation, silence might not be sufficient for his protection. Some sources even suggest that his involvement could have been unintentional, indicating he may have been manipulated into releasing the footage by those aiming to undermine Diddy. After all, Diddy has plenty of enemies, both within and outside the music industry.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot of enemies.
But let's take a moment to grasp the gravity of the situation and look at the bigger picture. Diddy is facing a barrage of both criminal and civil charges that could significantly tarnish his legacy. His arrest in September 2024 on racketeering charges marked a turning point, leading federal agents to raid his properties in Los Angeles and Miami, where they uncovered a trove of incriminating evidence, including documents and electronic devices. Authorities appear to have constructed a strong case against the music mogul, and although Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges, the sheer volume of allegations suggests that this will not be an easy battle for him.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did...
One of the most damaging aspects of the case against Diddy is the seriousness of the allegations themselves. These aren't minor infractions, they are grave charges that could result in significant prison time if he's convicted. Even more concerning is the fact that it's not just one or two accusers. Over a dozen individuals have stepped forward with their own accounts of mistreatment and abuse. Some of these allegations date back decades, creating a troubling portrait of a man who has operated in the shadows for far too long.
Very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
The parallels between the Diddy situation and other high-profile scandals in the entertainment industry are striking. Take Jeffrey Epstein, for instance. Both men wielded significant power and used their influence to manipulate those around them. They surrounded themselves with a network of enablers who helped maintain their public images while concealing their alleged wrongdoings, ultimately finding themselves at the center of legal storms that threatened to dismantle everything they had built. While there are differences between the cases, the similarities raise questions about the depth of these alleged crimes. R. Kelly, another music industry giant, experienced a swift and brutal fall from grace. Once celebrated as a musical genius who helped shape a generation's sound, he was later revealed to be involved in manipulation, mistreatment, and abuse.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brain.
While comparisons to figures like Epstein and Kelly provide valuable context, Diddy's case is unique in its own right. For one, Diddy is more than just a musician. He's a businessman, producer, and entrepreneur. His empire encompasses everything from music to fashion to liquor brands. While his music career laid the groundwork, his diverse business ventures have established him as a global icon. This makes his current predicament even more shocking. If the allegations are true, the very empire Diddy built could come crashing down around him.
Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do that.
Christian Combs finds himself ensnared in this tumultuous situation. On one hand, he's trying to carve out his own path in the music industry, seeking to emerge from his father's shadow. On the other hand, he's now being pulled into a scandal that could derail his career before it even begins. If Christian indeed played a role in leaking the footage related to Cassie, he may have opened a Pandora's box that will be hard to close. Moreover, if Gandeal's warning holds any weight, Christian could be facing more than just legal repercussions. There are whispers that some individuals involved in this scandal might not take kindly to having their secrets exposed in public.
And that has nothing to do with him having this baby or him having this side girl for almost 15 years.
The tension surrounding the situation is palpable. Diddy, once viewed as untouchable, is now engaged in the fight of his life, and Christian, whether intentionally or not, has stepped into the eye of a storm that threatens to consume him as well. The leaked footage of Cassie, which many suspect Christian played a role in exposing, has only intensified the situation. Gandeal, Diddy's former bodyguard, hasn't shied away from voicing his concerns about the potential dangers facing Christian. Thus, Deal's warning goes beyond legal ramifications. It points to something far more insidious, a very real and dangerous world that exists within these elite circles.
Man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
Deal, known for his bluntness, has painted a troubling picture of what lies ahead for Christian. "If I were in his shoes, I'd be watching my back," he reportedly said, according to insiders familiar with the situation. It's easy to understand why the entertainment industry, despite its glamorous facade, conceals darker undercurrents beneath its surface. When deals are struck, secrets are kept, and when those secrets are at risk of being exposed, the repercussions can be severe. Christian, who has mostly existed in the shadow of his father's immense success, is now thrust into the spotlight, but not in the way he likely envisioned.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight.
For Diddy, the timing couldn't be worse. Already mired in a multitude of civil and criminal lawsuits, the once celebrated mogul now watches as his empire teeters on the brink of collapse. The scandal surrounding Cassie is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Allegations of misconduct have followed him for years, but it's only recently that the walls have begun to close in. The case with Cassie is particularly damaging, not just because of the nature of the accusations, but also due to the years of silence that followed the tumultuous end of their relationship. Cassie's claims, as detailed in her lawsuit, have sent shockwaves through the industry, leaving many to wonder just how deep this rabbit hole goes.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
Cassie, once regarded as Diddy's protege, has alleged that their relationship was far from the glamorous fairy tale it seemed to be. She claims that behind closed doors, things were much darker. While Diddy has vocally denied these accusations, the evidence, especially the now infamous footage, paints a different picture. The video, leaked earlier this year, captures a chilling altercation between the two, prompting many to question the true nature of their relationship. In a clip, Diddy is seen grabbing Cassie and pulling her to the ground, a moment that, according to sources, was just the tip of the iceberg regarding their tumultuous time together.
It sounded crazy, like I said before. They said that 2,300 people reached out to the law firm, and out of the 2,300 people, I guess they decided to go with just a little over 100, which seems like it's they just put out the number and everybody's calling to see if they can get a check.
It's insane. It's insane. Now, again, he did say that nothing has been filed yet because he says he wants to make sure that they do their due diligence and get this right.
This footage, which has circulated widely online, has become a central piece in the narrative of Diddy's downfall. While Christian may not have leaked it directly, the mere suggestion of his involvement has placed him in a precarious situation. "It's one thing for your father to be in trouble, but it's another to be dragged into it yourself," remarked a source close to the family. Christian, who has generally maintained a low profile compared to his father, now finds himself at the heart of a scandal with serious repercussions. And it's not just the legal issues he has to worry about. Deal's warning suggests a much darker underbelly of the industry, one rooted in power, influence, and intimidation. People like Diddy don't reach their heights without making enemies, Deal stated in a recent interview. When things start to go wrong, those enemies come out of the woodwork, whether these threats originate from within the industry or beyond. It's clear that Christian may be facing dangers that extend far beyond the courtroom.
I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for.
Gandale's perspective is particularly chilling. As Diddy's former bodyguard, he has witnessed the inner workings of the mogul's empire firsthand, the deals made behind closed doors, the favors called in, and the power plays that have kept Diddy at the top for so long. Now, as Diddy's world begins to unravel, Deal is sounding the alarm not just for Christian, but for anyone connected to the mogul. Christian's involvement, whether direct or indirect, in the leaking of the footage has complicated matters. On one hand, some see him as a victim of circumstance, caught up in a situation far beyond his control. On the other hand, whispers suggest that Christian may be more involved than he's letting on. Some believe the leak was a calculated move aimed at distancing himself from his father's sinking ship. Their relationship has been strained at times, one insider revealed, and with everything happening now, it wouldn't be surprising if Christian wanted to carve out his own path apart from his father. However, if that's the case, Christian's plan may have backfired. Instead of freeing himself from his father's shadow, he has become even more entangled in it. Diddy's legal troubles now loom over Christian, and the consequences could be severe. This isn't just about one video, Deal explained. This is part of a much larger narrative, and if Christian isn't careful, he could find himself in a lot of trouble.
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come?
And speaking of trouble, it's important to remember that Christian has his own legal issues to contend with. Earlier this year, he was hit with a lawsuit alleging his involvement in a shocking incident of misconduct. The details of the case are still unfolding, but the seriousness of the accusations is enough to raise eyebrows, especially for someone who has spent much of his life in the public eye. Christian now faces the very real possibility of his reputation being tarnished independently of his father's downfall. The parallels between Christian's situation and Diddy's are hard to ignore. Both men, once seen as untouchable in their respective circles, are now facing a reckoning. While Diddy's troubles may be more high-profile, Christian's involvement in these scandals adds another layer of complexity to the narrative. As the legal battles continue, the question remains how much more damage will be inflicted on an empire that was once sprawling and seemingly invincible. For Diddy, the stakes couldn't be higher. His business empire, which spans music, fashion, and more, is now hanging in the balance. Once the king of the industry, Diddy now confronts the very real possibility of losing it all. While he has managed to survive scandals in the past, this latest wave of allegations may be insurmountable. The accusations against him, particularly those involving Cassie, have resonated deeply in the public consciousness in a way that previous controversies did not. This time feels different.
I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it, where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
But what about Christian? Will he be able to distance himself from his father's sinking ship, or will he be dragged down with it? That's the question on everyone's mind. Christian, who has always lived in the shadow of his father's success, now has a chance to step out on his own, but at what cost? The accusations against him, combined with his alleged involvement in the leaked footage, have placed him in a precarious position. As Gandale has warned, the dangers he faces may extend far beyond the legal system.
But there's also strategic reasons for the prosecutors to want him to have co-defendants, because right now he hasn't waived his right to a speedy trial, which would force prosecutors to take him to trial pretty quick, which they actually might not be ready to do. But if they supersede him and have co-defendants with him, it makes it a lot easier to pursue a trial continuance without him waiving his speedy trial right.
The entertainment industry is a cutthroat world where alliances shift and power dynamics can change in the blink of an eye. Diddy, who once held all the cards, now watches as his empire crumbles, and Christian, whether he realizes it or not, is caught in the crossfire. The question now is, what will he do next? Will he stand by his father, or will he attempt to carve out a new path for himself? Either way, the road ahead is fraught with danger as Diddy's legal troubles continue to escalate. The focus is slowly shifting to those around him. Christian, once viewed merely as the son of a superstar, is now a key player in this unfolding drama. As more details emerge, it's clear that this situation is about more than just one man's downfall. It's about an entire legacy and empire built on power, influence, and secrecy now unraveling before our very eyes. The industry is watching closely, eager to see how this all plays out. For years, Diddy was seen as untouchable, a man who could weather any storm. But as the allegations mount and the legal battles intensify, even his most loyal supporters are starting to question, is this the end of the road for one of the biggest names in entertainment? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more revelations because this story is just heating up.